and global business landscape.
The president of the chamber will join us very soon. Whilst we wait for the president, we would like to know each other. So maybe if we can introduce ourselves. For the chamber, it's a business association, so we want to know who is here. We want to know the companies that are represented here. So instead of going to do adverts to get clients, we can start from here. So the mic will go round, and then we'll introduce ourselves, your company, your name, and what you do, so that we can be able to network with you. The B2B starts right now. And so on that note, we want to welcome you today, and then we will start with the self-introduction, and once the president joins us, we will say the opening prayer, and then the program can start fully. So let me start from here. Okay. So just your name, your company, and what you do, and where you are located. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Enimoa Amoa Champong. I'm with KPMG. KPMG is an audit, advisory, and a tax firm. So we welcome you all to have business with us, engage with us, and we are very ready to help you with any aspect of your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Prince Lepe. I'm with Logic Logistics. We are into shipping, freight forwarding, and supply chain management. As for we are people from world-trained institutions like Maritime University, where we can give you consultation. We prepare you in advance before your shipments come in. And we also do transit shipment. So you are welcome to come and do business with us. I'm here with my boss, Basi Anselm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Anselm Nagbesi from Logic Logistics.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll take the last one. We'll go for opening prayers. We'll start with the program, and then the B2B will continue later in the afternoon. So the next one.
Good morning.
Please, can you go ahead?
My name is Daniel Afra. I'm the CEO of Danafsoft Solutions. We are into software development and computer training. Software for your offices, software for church, software for association. When we come to computer training, we have database training. Then we also have Excel master training. So you are welcome to do business with us. You have relocated from Adenta to Kwabenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are grateful. So on behalf of the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, council members, and the members, we want to welcome you all to today's event, which is the CEO Business Forum on the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development. This is a program that has been put together by the Chamber in partnership with the 24-hour Secretariat and our partners from the Republic Bank. On that note, we welcome you all to today's event. We shall call upon the National Treasurer, Mr. Michael Kabute Caesar, to give us an opening prayer. With your permission, can we all be upstanding and take the opening prayer, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mwako, and good morning to everyone present. Shall we pray? Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to you for the gift of life, for the good health, and even for the safe passage on our way to this place. It's just by your grace. For the reason for which we are here, we entrust our gathering here as well into your hands, that you lead us through all the processes outlined and the activities, and trust that you grant clarity of thought and eloquence to all who are here to present, and for a time where questions need to be asked, that we do not leave here the same, but we leave here better informed of what the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development stands for, meant to do, and the opportunities it presents to business opportunities. It's our prayer that we'll leave here blessed with the kind of information we are here to imbibe. This, we say we thank you in the name of God, who is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, the National Treasurer, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Michael Kabute Caesar. Thank you. God bless you. I would like to introduce to you some executives from the chamber who are here. We have some executives from Accra Regional Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I could see the Vice Chairman. Mr. Vice Chairman, you are welcome. Tema, anyone from Tema? Not yet. Okay, okay, yes, sir. You are welcome, sir. Sabo Logistics, thank you. Mr. Adi, you are welcome. We also want to acknowledge the presence of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce CEO, Mr. Macbedu Aboaje. Mr. CEO, you are welcome. Thank you. We will now introduce the president of the chamber, Mr. Stefan Miezan. And he says we should stop calling him President Abbas. And so on that official note, I'm only introducing him today as President Abbas, and nobody should repeat it. Shall we welcome President Abbas? Mr. President, you are welcome. I'll call upon my co-MC, Dr. Nidodu, also to introduce the team from the 24-hour Secretariat, and our partners from the Republic Bank will also be introduced later. Doc, you are welcome. Kindly take over.
Thank you very much, and good morning, all of you. I'm sure that at appropriate time we'll share some thoughts with you, but I'm here with the Chief Program Officer, Mr. Abdul Nassam. He's the head of our programs and been very instrumental in the program development for the 24-hour economy. My name is Dr. Ishmael Idodu. I'm the Chief Partnership Officer here. We have Emmanuel Kofi, who is our Corporate Affairs. Please let them see you. Dr. Margaret, she's a head of agribusiness and knows everything about agriculture, agribusiness transformation, work with the World Bank and others. And we also have the Senior Partnership Officer, Kofi, who has illustrious career working with Chamber of Commerce's foreign, local businesses around the world. We're expecting quite a number of our team. We have actually taken this very seriously. So we're hoping to come with a full force to give you a package of answers for what questions you have. My prayer is that we'll break every protocol. We'll make this a Chatham House discussion. We speak from our heart. We provide solutions, not complaints. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Israel Nidodu. We would also like to introduce our partner from the Republic Bank, Mr. Jacob Kofi Mensah Hobenu. Mr. Hobenu, you are welcome, sir. Shall we welcome him? Yes. And so later, the team from Republic Bank will also be introduced to you. Without much ado, we want to call upon the President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry to give us his welcome address. Mr. President, shall we put up together for the President? We also want to welcome our guests who are with us on Zoom, online. We want to acknowledge you, and at the appropriate time, we will give you the opportunity also to speak. Thank you.
Beautiful morning, and a rainy one for me this morning. And I was praying that it wasn't going to be as we had experienced a couple of days ago. Good morning to all of us. Good morning. Unfortunately, my schoolmate, Honorable Guzitano couldn't come, but I'm still going to. He's once an enforcement boy, he's always an enforcement boy. So I'm going to try and address this gathering, thinking that he's here. I don't know if I should still mention his name, but Honorable Guzitano, Honorable Dr. Ishmael Dodu, Mr. Alidu, representing Dr. Ishmael Jansen, Honorable Guzitando, the Presidential Advisor on the 24-hour economy and accelerated export program, Mr. Jacob Kofi Mensah Obenu, whom I just found to be a good friend, and is going to give the private sector some sources of funding from Republic Bank. He is the head of corporate banking. Distinguished CEOs present, members, distinguished members of GNCCI, captains of industry, our development partners, our friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor this morning to bring you greetings from myself and my colleague, presidents of the chamber, from the National Executive, and also the Council of the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Dodu and Mr. Alidu, while I was preparing to come and give the welcome address today, I decided to do a bit of research on today's conversation. And then I tried to look at Ghana's exports for the past 5 years. And I did some averages. I realized that averagely, we export about, in terms of percentage, the value of our exports for the non-traditional exports is about 16%. And then for the traditional exports, which is the cocoa, the gold, and all of that, it's about 84%. Specifically last year, 2025, Ghana exported $31 billion of goods. Out of that $31 billion of goods, $5 billion, which is 16%, was the non-traditional exports. And then 85%, which is 26 billion, was our traditional export: gold, cocoa, timber, crude oil, and all of that. Mr. Dodu, Dr. Dodu, and Mr. Alidu, it is on that background that today's conversation is and has become very important and very timely. Why do I say so? It has become important because of industrializing our nations to create jobs. It has also become important because we need to move from poverty reduction to creating wealth. And last but not the least is to move from consumption to exports. There's something that was going, links myself to Honorable Guzitano. And unfortunately, he's not here. One of the things, there are two things. One is that we both went to the same school in Fansman. The other thing is that he loves Ghana just as much as I love Ghana. And I believe it's the same with all of us, except that not all of you went to Fansman though. But one particular thing separates me, myself, from him, from Honorable Guzitano. One is that he's a politician. And then the other thing that separates me is that I am a private sector practitioner. So two things. One is that we went to the same school. Two is that he loves Ghana just as much as I love Ghana. And the one thing that separates us is that he's a politician and I am a private sector practitioner. It is in this vein that we have invited you and Dr. Dodu and Mr. Alidu to represent him to give us a deeper understanding of the 24-hour program, to identify opportunities to the private sector. And then, for me, as the leader of the private sector, as the president of the private sector, to rally the private sector to take advantage of the opportunities that are in there, to contribute to its successful implementation, and also to create wealth for our people. At this point, let me say I have the honor to invite the rep, which is Mr. Abdul Nasir Alidu, to come and speak to us about the 24-hour economy. After he's spoken, I think I'll take the same honor, the opportunity to also invite Mr. Jacob Hobenu, Head of Corporate Banking at Republic Bank, to give us, our valued partner, to tell us about how the private sector can take advantage of the leverage the bank has of its products and facilities to take advantage of the opportunities under the 24-hour economy. As I conclude, and I've been speaking for a while, I want to encourage all of us to ask the appropriate questions, to share our experiences, offer practical suggestions, and engage constructively on this occasion. And let me assure you, Honorable, that the GNCCI is fully committed to working with the government to realize a prosperous Ghana. Thank you so much.
Let's do it better for the president. Let's do it better for him. Thank you very much, Mr. President. We are all gathered here for one and only one thing, that is to hear from the 24-hour Secretariat the incentives, the program that they have for Ghanaians and business operators who are gathered here. So we shall call upon the rep from the 24-hour Secretariat, who is the Chief Programs Officer, Mr. Abdul Nasser Soglu Alidu, to tell us what the 24-hour Secretariat has for us as Ghanaians and where they are taking Ghana to. Shall we welcome him?
All right, so while the presentation is coming up, once again, good morning. So Mr. Tano sends his apologies. He actually intended to come here, but they have cabinet meeting today, and there was no way he could miss it. He actually thought he would come in and go if it didn't start early, but I think it was starting a bit early. And if they close before we leave here, he will pass through. So sincere apologies for him not being here. We know the GNCCI is one of the most important business associations in Ghana, and we intend to work very closely with you to ensure that this 24-hour economy program becomes what we intended to be. So, whilst they're setting up, maybe what we should do then is, I want to ensure the presentation answers your questions and it speaks to your needs. So perhaps I can take about 5 key questions that's bothering people's minds here. And hopefully by the time we are done with those 5 questions, the presentation will be up. So 5 key questions that's bothering people's minds, if anybody wants to volunteer. Okay.
What are the opportunities in the 24-hour economies for the private sectors?
Thank you. I'd like to know what are the timelines for the 24-hour economy to respond to one's email. I am asking because, let me just put it straight to you, I've sent an email and 6 months, no response.
Yes, so I want to know the strategy of the 24-hour secretariat to integrate the informal sector into their policies.
Two more? Okay, I'll take the two women after this.
I want to know what kind of services are qualified to be classified at that 24-hour.
Then I'll take the two from here.
Hi, I just want to know, is the 24-hour economy just concentrated on big businesses? How about those businesses that are at embryonic stages here?
Yes, so thank you. I want to talk about the security aspect of the 24-hour economy, because for instance, when you get to La Paz, the 24-hour economy is going on, but they still have challenges with security. So I want to know about the security aspects. Thank you.
I also want to touch about the security. Is the police going to take all the security duties, or you are going to recruit new people to do that? And are you going to also add the normal security companies to be part of it? Then number two, what is the clear plan for entrepreneurs who are very young in business? What is the clear plan for us? Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll try to. Will the presentation come up anytime soon? 5 minutes. Okay, so perhaps I'll try to answer some of these questions whilst we wait. So it might be important to first talk about what the 24-hour economy program is, so that we can answer some of your questions. But I want to answer the question about the email first, so that we get that out of the way. So I would admit that our processes have been a bit backlogged. Okay? And it's been backlogged because we've been in place a structure that would ensure that we are able to address every business and address it effectively. And also to ensure that we're actually providing value. Now, part of providing that value, and I also realized, so I also did a bit of research, Mr. President, before coming here, to understand some of the things that you've been talking about. And there was a CTFM item that was talking about policy continuity. Okay. And one of the things that we've been trying to do since we started working on this program is to ensure that a lot of the people that were in the 1D1F program and who had some of their incentives cut short, we figure out ways to bring it back. Now, the thing that became obvious to us in that process was that for a lot of the people that got the 1D1F incentives, it was through an administrative process. It wasn't through a legislative process. So most of the things that they got, so even though we have a law that basically governs the way we give out incentives, those incentives were not necessarily steeped in that law. So it was very easy for anybody through an administrative process to also cancel it. So one of the things that we've also been trying to do is to ensure that a lot of the things that we do, and especially the incentives that we provide, will be steeped in law and will not be something that anybody can come and through an administrative fiat be able to take it away. So it's taking a bit of time. But thankfully, we are getting there. We actually now have in place a process we call is an enterprise support process that responds to all the emails and all the requests that come in. So if you haven't received a response, you will be receiving a response very soon. And most likely what they would also do if you're requesting for support is to direct you to our website. So if you go to our website, there's a link there that says express interest. Pardon? That's what you did. Okay, good. So it's going to go there. And now what happens when you get in there, is that we have a system that we've put in place internally that now sorts businesses into 4 buckets. So the first question is whether the business works within one of our priority value chains. So those who work within our priority value chains then get sorted into bucket A, B, or C. The bucket A would be those that align directly with projects that 24-hour economy is progressing. They receive fiscal incentives and then non-fiscal incentives, and are also then brought into the projects directly. The bucket B are those who could fit into some of those projects, but who have some gaps. And the gaps, we look at your finances, we look at your market, we look at governance, and then try to see if there are gaps that we can help fill. So those who have gaps then get into a program where we are helping you to fill those gaps so that you can become part of the projects, or you can run your own projects if you want to. And those that do not fit into any of the priority value chains get into a bucket that is bucket C, where we have an enterprise readiness program for them, and so they also then get into that program where they receive some non-fiscal incentives and also get some support. And then the last bucket is bucket X. The bucket X are people who are running shifts and who don't necessarily fall into any of the priority value chains or work with any of our projects. And they also receive non-fiscal incentives. So those are and that's the process that we are going to be rolling out very soon. It's taking quite a bit of time to get there, but it's a process that's now in place, and that if you've applied to us and you haven't received anything from us, you should be getting a response from us very soon. Within the next 4 weeks, we are clearing the backlog, so you should be hearing from us. So I'm going to go through the presentation, and hopefully it will answer some of the questions. A lot of the questions that were asked actually are answered. If by the time I'm done it's not answered, I'll come back to you again and figure out an answer. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so what's the 24-hour economy program? And this is a question that most people answer, because I know that in the heat of the campaigns, the messages get simplified. And so the message was simplified to just 133. And that's what everybody understands to be 24-hour economy. So everywhere you go, when people talk about 24-hour economy, a lot of people are expecting 9th economy. That's what a lot of people mean when they talk about 24-hour economy. That is what the president described as the destination, right? You want to get to a place where productivity and utilization is so high that you need to run 24/7, right? But not everybody is there, and not every company is at that place today. I'm sure today there are members within here who are running at 10% capacity utilization, 20% capacity utilization, and have all sorts of problems that's not allowing them to be able to get to that 100% or 80% and be able to run the multiple shifts. Now, for those companies, we need to help them get to that stage. And that's the journey that the president talked about. And that journey is being able to identify all the constraints that we have, the constraints that's preventing businesses from being productive and being able to take advantage of these huge opportunities that we have here. When the president was talking, he talked about the amount of imports that we do. That amount of import basically tells you that we have a big market over here. And why are we unable to take advantage of that opportunity? So that's what the journey is meant to. And that's the journey that we are on. So that's the program. The program is meant to ensure that we are creating the environment that ensures that every business is able to get to that journey, that destination that we have over here. Please go to the next slide. All right, so the thing we're trying to change with the economy. So when we say we have a destination we are getting to and a journey that we are embarking on to get the program, the question is, why are we not today at that destination? Why don't we have that, strong level of productivity Why don't you have that strong level of utilization? And what is the effect of that, that state that we are in? The effect of that state that we are in is these two graphs that you are seeing. So we have GDP growing. It grows every year, right? But you don't see that GDP translating into opportunities and jobs and prosperity for our own people. The president also said we need to move from poverty alleviation towards creating wealth. With the structure of the economy we have today, we are never going to get to the stage where we are creating wealth. Because what is happening is our economy is deformed, and that deformity is preventing us from being able to translate the opportunities we have into opportunities for our people. So go to the next slide and let me show you something. Please click again. Okay, so this is what the president was talking about, the exports. So according to GSS, we exported mostly cocoa, gold, and oil in 2025. In 2024, it was about 80%, so it's actually growing. Now, this has been the structure of our economy since the colonial days. In the colonial days, it was the same three, except that you didn't have oil, so you had timber. Today, you don't have timber because you don't have the forest. And luckily, God gave us the oil, so oil has replaced it. So we are largely exporting raw commodities with very little value add, and where the prices are actually not even set here. Someone else sets the prices, and we are largely price takers. Please click again. And what do we import? Which is also extremely important. So this is, we did an analysis of Ghana's imports in 2025. What are the things that we import? You see 21% is capital goods, 33% is intermediate goods, and 45% being consumption, things we just import to consume. When the president was talking, I also noted one thing that he said. He said we need to move from consumption to exports. Okay. And I would add that it's not just exports, but also to production. Because that production needs to replace this consumption that we have over here. Okay. For most people will tell you focus on exports, right? So when bringing a lot of economists to look at the economy, they'll tell you focus on export. The reason why they say focus on exports is because when we export, we earn foreign exchange, and we earn the foreign exchange to import the machinery and the intermediate goods that we don't produce in Ghana. The problem with us, and if you look at this, is that a big chunk of that FX is actually used to import consumption goods. And if you actually look at the top 10 exports, the top 10 imports in Ghana, you have petroleum over there, and mostly the petroleum we are importing is actually for our cars on the road. Then we have used vehicles. You have things like the stomach and guts of animal, making it into the top 10 imports in Ghana. So basically, we import things to consume. We don't import things to manufacture. What we should have been importing is we should be importing the things that allow us to be able to transform our economy. In that situation, that transformation never happens. Okay. And I'm sure even if you look into this capital goods, a big chunk of this capital goods will be things that we imported for the mines and for the oil industry, not things that we actually use to produce the things that we consume. So what have we ended up doing? Almost all the food we eat, we are importing. All the clothes we are wearing, we are importing. Our cars are imported. If you come to our homes, everything is imported. We are not achieving that transformation that ensures that we're able to create opportunities for our people. Please click it again. Okay. And you see that also here. This gross fixed capital formation is at 10%. If you look at most developed economies or economies that are actually developing, the average for successful long-term growth when it comes to your gross fixed capital formation is about 25%. The only time in recent history that Ghana achieved that was in 2003, right after HIPIC. Okay. And then we went back to below 10%. Now, the idea of the gross fixed capital formation is this, is that you invest in the equipment and the machinery that you need to build your future, right? And if you invest in that, what that means is that you are becoming productive. You are investing in the future productivity. Because of the way our economy is structured, and this graph, you don't see it very well. This basically shows you what we use our tax revenue for. So government tax revenue goes into two main things. It goes into paying salaries and paying interest on loans. Not actually paying the loans, but paying interest, right? This is 2022. So 2021, 2022, we spent more than 100%. Actually, 2021, 2022, 2023, we spent more than 100% of tax revenue on these two items. So basically what that meant is that the amount of money we were generating locally was not enough to even pay salaries and also pay interest on loans. In a situation like that, you don't have space for government to also contribute to the gross fixed capital formation, which is here. And so you have a situation where in government budget itself, the government is spending significantly less than 10% of its budget on capital goods. And sometimes when you actually go into the capital goods that form that 10%, sometimes you see offices and you see computers, so you are not necessarily even seeing the things that are generating productivity. Okay, please click to the next. So this is the thing that we are faced with. This is the kind of economy we are faced with. These are the implications of this economy. Number one, it means government doesn't have the fiscal space. And it's not just because of IMF, but the way our economy is structured, government just does not have the space to invest into that productivity, in that productive future that we are looking for. We will keep saying, well, government should do it, government should do it. The truth of the matter is government cannot. Okay, and it's the structure, it's the way our economy is structured. We just cannot. If government has to do that, then what government needs to do is to basically significantly cut salaries, which means doing massive layoffs. There is no government in Ghana that will have the courage to do that. And we can't also go back to UNTR. We can't say we won't pay our loans, right? That also is not something that we can do. So we need to pay our loans, and we cannot just get up and do massive layoffs. So we need to figure out another way of ensuring that we are building this productive future. So that's actually the problem that we've been grappling with at 24-hour economy. Because we've said, yes, we want the economy to reach that destination. To reach that destination means you need to invest in the machinery, you need to invest in the intermediate goods to build a more productive economy. But government finances doesn't allow government to lead this. So how do you ensure that you can get the finances, the capital, to be able to lead this and actually get there? And that's the problem that we've been facing with. So to solve it, some of the things that we did was to first take a look at what are the key constraints. What are the big constraints that ordinarily we would like government to resolve that hasn't been resolved? And some of them are here. Can you please click again? Some of them are here. You have power. The issue with power is not just, and this one I know I'm into the choir, but it's not just about reliability, but it's also about cost of power. If you have a situation where the cost of power to industry is at about 23 cents per kilowatt hour, and sometimes people actually laugh, 23 cents per kilowatt hour, there is no way you can be profitable. I did a presentation to a group of foreign investors, and I was telling them that we are looking to reduce the cost of power to about 9 cents per kilowatt hour. And then somebody laughed. So what I thought the person was laughing because they thought it's not possible for us to do it. So I stopped and I was like, well, why are you laughing? Do you think we don't have the ability to do that? He was like, no. But every business case that they've seen to industrialize, the cost of power is about 2 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's what they are enjoying. I think he was from Switzerland. So when I said the 9 cents per kilowatt hour, he actually found it funny because that's too high. But we are paying more than twice that in Ghana today. Okay. So that has to reduce. We actually have a project trying to resolve that, and I'll talk about that. Then there's also the issue about finance, right? So there's a huge financing gap. And the problem with the financing gap, number one, is the fact that most of our finances, or our bank financing, is going to government. It's not going to private sector. So here I'm addressing our Republic Bank friend. And even the ones that's going to private sector, oftentimes, I think about 80% of the financing goes to the services sector. Now, most of our service sector actually services production from other places. So we don't give enough to private sector, but even the ones that we give to are mostly the people who are importing things and who are selling the things that we've imported. Not necessarily the people who are doing the production over here. Actually, go to the next slide. I want to show something. I'll come back here. No, the next one. Let's see. No, next one. Okay, so if you look at this, we're actually comparing Ghana to other countries in terms of where credit goes, right? And the graph you see is looking at credit to private sector. Okay, bank credit to private sector, specifically bank credit to private sector. This is the 100% mark here. You have the 100% mark over here. Okay, so both Vietnam and China are actually giving the banks are giving more than 100% of their GDP in terms of credits to the private sector. All right, and that's why you're seeing the kind of growth you're seeing in Vietnam and co. If you come to Ghana, this is Ghana. Ghana is the lowest over here. We are even below the average for sub-Saharan Africa, below the average for lower middle income countries. So our banking sector is not necessarily helping us that much. We need to figure out why that is the case and how we can turn that around. Please go back to where we were. So that's one of the things with, no, please come for it. And click it again. That's one of the things with finance. Finance, interest rates are high. We are resolving it a bit. The money that we have, the banks are not lending to the productive sector. That's number two. And part of the reason why they are also not lending to the private sector is because loans are highly collateralized. And we're actually working with one investor in the north who's put up a factory in the north. And we're trying to get funding from some of the banks for this person. So the banks ask for collateral. And I'm sure most of you know that if you've built a factory, that factory itself can be a collateral because they own the land, they build the factory. The factory is in Savlugu. So they present this to the bank, and the bank goes like, no. We want landed property, but we want landed property in Accra. So that my banker friend is smiling. So that what this person has built in Tamale, in Savlugu, to do this production is not enough to get, so if they don't have the property in Accra, they won't be able to get the loan. That's part of the constraint that we are facing. You have logistics. The issue with logistics that we've realized is that logistics are quite expensive. So it's two things. Number one, we have this high post-harvest losses because we don't have the post-harvest infrastructure to ensure that we are preserving our things properly and transporting them properly to markets. That's one of the things. The other issue is that because of how much we focus on road as a mode of transport, almost everything moves by road. But we all know road is one of the most expensive, it's actually the most expensive mode of transport, right? So things get to market and you realize the price is through the roof. There's actually a World Bank report that shows that on average, about 60% of the cost of items you find on our shelves can be attributed to the supply chain. system. And globally, the average is about 15%. So we are extremely inefficient when it also comes to logistics. Okay. Then you have the skills, and importantly also market access. I mean, the skills gap, I think that one, everybody knows this. And let's talk about the market access. You have a lot of, today we have farmers talking about having maize and rice and all of that in their farms, locked in their farms and not getting to market. And yet, if you look at the difference between the farm gate price and the market price, very huge. Maize actually is about, well, I'm sure it's below 2,000 cedis per ton. In the market, it's over 10,000 cedis per ton. But the farmers can't get their maize to market. Okay, they don't have access to market. The market is being controlled by a few people. The people who are doing the farming, who are doing the production, have no way of getting access to these markets. So what happens? They produce this time. They don't get access to markets. The prices go down. We push down the price so much. And next season, what happens? They don't farm. There are actually rice farmers who have rice from 2 seasons ago that they still haven't been able to sell. So what we are doing at 24-Hour Economy is that we've identified all these constraints, and we are structuring solutions to these constraints. Okay. But we are structuring them as projects that private sector can actually see a path to also making money out of. Because, like I said, government doesn't have the finances to be able to basically fund all of this. So structure the interventions as projects, clear projects, and invite the private sector to participate in those projects so that you are solving the problems for private sector. Others can enjoy it, but in solving that problem also, you are leveraging private capital. Because we have a lot of private capital today that is looking for somewhere to go to. Okay. Please go to the next slide. Okay. So somebody asks, why should private capital care to help you solve this problem? Fundamentally, we say we are giving people a first mover advantage in a new market, right? Our import bill, we paid about we imported about $38.9 billion of food last year. Was it? Yeah, this is 2023. Actually, last year it's about 40 something, but 42. Okay. So on average, we're actually spending about $3 billion on average importing food. If you go to West Africa, it's estimated about 25 billion. Actually, some estimates put it about $40 billion of food that's imported into West Africa. If you go to Africa, the whole of Africa is close to $100 billion of food that we import into Africa. This is all opportunity that we can take, right? You look at the pharmaceutical sector. The pharmaceutical sector, a bulk of what we consume in Ghana, more than 70% of the drugs we consume is actually imported, right? These are all opportunities that we can take advantage of, and it's a growing, market. So, one, why should it be bothered? Because this is a huge market that is growing, and it's actually the fastest growing in terms of population in the world. So, it's a huge market, and it's only meant to grow. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Now, the reason why, even though we have this market and it's growing and we are not able to take advantage of it, is all the things that I've talked about. I mean, so this basically gives you a lot of the details in terms of the energy costs, the logistics, the access to finance and stuff like that. You see things like, in terms of agric productivity, we are yielding about 2 tons per hectare, but we are told to be profitable, you need to be yielding about 7 tons per hectare. In tomato, it was actually interesting. So we're talking about tomato production, and we realized in Ghana, even for commercial tomato farming, we are yielding about 15 tons per hectare. Do you know how much a place like Netherlands yields per hectare? Anybody take a guess? Wild guess. Don't consult the internet yet. Just a wild guess. Anyone? 400 tons. We are doing 15. Okay. There is no way you can compete. And so we need to build that productivity. We need to ensure that we are becoming a lot more productive. And if we can compete on the local market, we'll be able to compete on the export market. The reason why we don't compete well on the export market is that even on the local market, we are not competitive. Please go to the next slide. Go to the next one. We've talked about this already. Okay, so what are we doing to resolve some of these things? First, we've learned, based on our review of several other projects or programs that government has, implemented in the past, that a big problem with our program designs has often been the value chain. We solve problems in silos. So we solve one part of the problem, and then you have we create problems in other places. I'll give you a typical example, right? You take Planting for Food and Jobs, right? I think Planting for Food and Jobs 1 was very successful. It was successful at what it was designed to do. It was designed to provide the seeds and the support to farmers to increase yields, which it did and did well. What it didn't do was it didn't think about the evacuation. How do you then get things to market? So you had farmers increasing yields and now being stuck with food that they cannot sell. Okay. So we solved one part of the problem and we created a problem. So next season, these farmers will not farm. Why? Because you made them farm, they got bumper harvest, and they couldn't sell. Okay. And you see that in a lot of the kind of things that we design. We design things, and we only design to solve one part of the problem. We don't design to solve everything. So the first thing that we've done is to ensure that for every solutions that we are bringing in place, we have something we call policy production offtake. So when you take every one of our projects, we've looked at the policy environment that needs to be in place for it to be successful. And when we get into the projects, you get to see some of them. And then what is the whole value chain? What are the different production nodes along the value chain? And how does offtake happen at each one of those production nodes? And it helps you apply a full integrated value chain approach to all of our solutions. So that's one thing. One thing is we're looking at integrated value chain. The second thing is ensuring that we have the projects. We actually structure these as projects that people can invest in. In the early stages of the program design, we met a couple of DFIs. And one DFI, told us, actually we heard it from a number of them, but one of them basically for me stuck in my mind because the DFI was like, well, Ghana never makes use of its headroom. We always have a lot of headroom for Ghana, but Ghana never makes use of its headroom. And we're like, why doesn't Ghana make use of its headroom? And we're told that, well, Ghanaians can talk. So when they come to you, they talk about all the beautiful projects that they have. Until you get to the point where you ask for, give me a concept note, and everything goes quiet. So once you move the conversation to, okay, I will support you, bring the concept notes, there's no project. So we talk about a lot of projects, we don't have the concept notes. We haven't prepared the projects. A big part of this is because we don't have, especially within the public sector, we don't have the skill sets to prepare projects for private sector. So you don't find a lot of that happening. I'm sure you find those skill sets in the KPMGs and the PwCs and all of that. But they are expensive if you try to work with them. Even though some of them are giving us pro bono work, and we thank you. A lot of them have actually come forward to support us, so we thank you very much. So what we are doing now is we are preparing the projects. So there's a pipeline of projects that we are working with, and which we are now preparing to get it to the stage where they are bankable, people will look at it, and will be happy to put their money inside. Okay. For those who have been paying attention, there are some of the projects that you would have heard about. There's the Legon Pharmaceutical Innovation Park, for instance, that we've done quite a bit of work on. There is the North Shore Industrial Park, there's the Kumasi Machinery and Industrial Technology Park. There are a few of them that we've done a bit of work on. So we need to prepare the projects, and that's also something that we are doing. And then there's the policy and incentives. Actually, go forward a bit. I want to talk about the policy and incentives bits. Can you press the, no, not here. Go to the next one. Next one. Okay. Let's stop here and then I'll talk about the policy and incentives. So our philosophy is that Ghana needs to be inherently competitive. Okay. To be inherently competitive means we need to remove all the bottlenecks, all the constraints that make business uncompetitive. And in a situation like that, when you reach a place like that, nobody is going to come asking you for incentives because the environment is competitive. So that's what we are driving towards. But we also recognize that in the meantime, there are real constraints that prevent our businesses from being able to compete and compete well. And so we need to provide that incentive that allow them to get to the stage where they can become a lot more competitive. So we've been working with the Ministry of Finance on a set of incentives that we want to roll out. Can you go to the next slide? I want to show something. So two things that we've actually been doing. First, when you take a compendium of laws that we have today on fiscal incentives and all of that, there are so much there that people don't realize and don't make use of. So we've taken the trouble of consolidating all of this into a database, and as part of our enterprise support program, we are actually helping businesses to identify those that they could take advantage of that they haven't taken advantage of yet. So those are incentives that exist today that people could take advantage of, but they are not taking advantage of. So that's one. The second is to work with the Ministry of Finance to come up with incentives that the business community can enjoy. The thinking behind what we are doing is that, number one, we shouldn't tax production, we should tax profits. That's a principal thing that we are. So don't tax the things that people are going to use to do production. Tax the profits that they make. The second thing is that there should be the incentives should be tied to performance, and this should be visible to everybody. Today, what we have is people get incentives. You and I could be in the same business. You get incentives, I won't get incentives, right? And you get the incentives, and nobody really follows up to see if the commitments you make, you're actually meeting them. So one of the things that we've put in place with the incentives that we are discussing with Ministry of Finance is that there will be a performance agreement for everybody that enjoys the incentives. And that performance agreement will be publicly available so that anybody can see what you committed to and what you are getting, and then there will be yearly reviews and clawback mechanisms in case you don't fulfill your commitments to be able to claw back. So that's the other thing. And finally, all the incentives we are discussing have a sunset. Okay. The reason is that we don't want this to be a perpetual thing. We are thinking of this as we are trying to resolve the economy. And I mean, we need to change this deformed economy once and for all. We've been at it for 70 years. It's time we corrected it. So we want to use this as part of the tools that we use to correct this. But then it should end at some point. And that should be the point where we believe that enough businesses have become competitive, the environment has become a lot more friendly to business, and so we become more inherently competitive. So please go to the next slide. Okay. Go to the next one. I want to see if I have, okay. No, it's okay, go back. I thought I had put the four simplified incentives that we are that we are proposing. I guess I took it out because, sometimes I talk about this and I see newspaper headlines that say 24-hour economy has rolled out X, Y incentives. But I said we are discussing it. It is now going through the legislative process. So for the media here, it's not available today. it's something we are still working on. But the ones we are working on is, number one, accelerated depreciation. Okay, so that you can depreciate your equipment in the year, 100% in the year that you buy it. Okay, that ensures that you have a lot more money available to you to do work, right? So that's number one. Number two is removal of all duties and taxes on importation of equipment for production. That's the second one. Number three is a flat rate CIT. We are proposing 10% right now, but it's still in discussion. Okay, that's the third one. And the fourth one has to do with a flat rate payee for people earning below a certain amount. So we've simplified it to these four. And these four basically fit the philosophy about not taxing, production, but taxing profits. Because if you import the equipment, you are importing it to produce. There's no point in taxing it before it's actually done the production. What we tax is your profits, which is after you've made the income. So that's what we are discussing right now. And hopefully, by the end of this year, everything will go through and we'll have it done. Is my time up? Okay. Okay, so go back up. I'll just touch on a few things and then we can go back up. Go up. No, not down. You're looking at the projects. Go back. Up. Up. Okay, so I wanted to use this to just explain the enterprise support that I was talking about earlier. So these are the different tracks that we have today. So when you come in, if you fit in one of the priority sectors, you go directly to being classified and you either get into A, B, or C. If you don't, you come in here and you go into track X or you go directly to track C. That's essentially what we are doing. Now, most of these guys will be in some of the projects that we are working on. And so I'm going to go straight to some of the projects so that we don't waste too much time. Please go down. And the philosophy behind the projects is this. Infrastructure, we realize, is a big issue, right? And we can't solve the infrastructure all over the country at once. And so most of the projects that we have, we've structured it into industrial parks and agroecological parks so that you can co-locate the businesses in a place where you provide all of these. And then the building of the park, which is the infrastructure bit, we form an SPV, which then does it and collects rent from the people that actually come in. So it becomes a business. You don't then need government to come and build that industrial park. It ensures that it's the only role that government will play here would be to come in with viability gap funding if the project itself may not be profitable. Then, when I see him, I'm like, is he coming to take me away? Then, we are also doing a lot of the projects around the Volta Economic Corridor. Okay. The reason is the Volta Lake itself is the biggest man-made, and Volta Economic Corridor is not Volta region. It's the Volta Economic Corridor. There are about 75 districts within the Volta Economic Corridor, and it spans a number of regions. It spans most of the regions, actually. Greater Accra, Eastern, Volta, Ashanti, Bono East, Oti, Northern, they all fall within the, have some districts within the Volta Economic Corridor. So it spans a whole number of districts. And here, first, we are making the Volta Lake transport business a lot more reliable. I don't know if a lot of you saw the test run on the railway from Tema to Mpakadan recently. So that is working now. So if we're able to then get the ports on the lake running and the floating assets onto the lake, what we can actually now do is move all the container trucks that are going to Burkina and Mali and Niger off the road onto the lake and carry it all the way to Bupe. So you make the roads safer, but then you also provide this transport routes that allows us to move food from the north to the south and move equipment from the south to the north. we are also, so that's the transport bit. And then there are a number of agro parks around the lake also that we are doing. Significance there is irrigation. Irrigated agriculture in Ghana today is less than 5% of our cultivated land. And that's not acceptable. You can't be productive around that. Part of the reason is irrigation is expensive. When we're looking into it, we realize that the average cost of irrigation that we've done in Ghana is about $12,000 per hectare. Today, we've managed to run pilots and are getting about $1,500 per hectare, down from $12,000. So now it begins to become more profitable. It begins to become something that a private sector person would want to put their money in because they'll be able to get the returns. Okay. So let me just run through some of the projects. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but later we can talk to it. Can you please go down? Down, yes. So first, stop here, please. First is the Bupe Solar and BESS project. So this is a 1.5 gigawatt solar project. The private sector person that is anchoring this actually has been in the energy sector for about 20 years. They built a 3 gigawatt plant in India, sold it, and have now invested into several renewable energy projects. And this is going to be their biggest solar project yet. The first phase is coming on stream in June 2027. The thing that this one does is it's reducing the cost of power to industry down to between 7 and 9 cents per kilowatt hour, from the 23 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's this. This project that we already have the land identified. You have the investor. The investor has come in, registered with GIPC, set up here, and the project's actually ongoing right now. Please go to the next one. So the opportunity here is for businesses that are in the parks or in the Volta Economic Corridor, you'll be able to get access to power at a very reasonable cost. Please go down. Go down. There's a Volta Lake project that I've talked about. Please go down. There's a Tamale Air Cargo Hub at the Tamale Airport. Tamale Airport actually has the longest runway in Ghana. Every kind of plane can land there. And it's the shortest distance to Ghana if you're coming from Africa, North Africa, or Europe. And there's a lot of, cultivation of fresh produce, vegetables and stuff that you can airlift. So we are setting up the Air Cargo Hub to basically get into that. Please go to the next one. There's a Yapik. Go down. You go down. I want to see. Next. Okay, just before this, go back up. There's the Legon Pharmaceutical Innovation Park at Esuchari. And this one for the pharmaceutical sector is a 2,000 acre park that we are putting in place to house the businesses within the pharmaceutical value chain and provide all the kind of GMP equipment and infrastructure that they need to be able to be successful. So this, we are at the feasibility stage phase. We've done the pre-feasibility. It's very positive, so we are now doing the feasibility. And there's been an investor that has actually now expressed interest. Well, this is a firm interest to actually execute this one. And here, perhaps the other thing I should say is this. We should, as Ghanaians, or Ghanaian businesses, also be willing to take risk. Because what we realize is that the Ghanaian businesses don't want to take risk. They want you to give them incentive, and they want loans. They don't want to say, well, this is an opportunity, let's work together and structure something. It's the same with the Ghanaian banks. The Ghanaian banks, when you talk to them, they tell you, where is the project? Is it bankable? But I'm like, we need to work together to make it bankable. Bankable projects don't make themselves. So you need to work with us. There are a lot of problems that we have in this country. We can't leave it for others to come and solve. What we end up doing when we have that attitude is that you're going to have the donors and the NGOs come in, prepare projects, and bring it to us, and that's the only things we'll be pursuing. So at the end of the day, there's nothing that we'll pursue that actually solve the problems that we care about. If we care about it, we need to then work together to prepare them, get them to the state of bankability, so that everybody can put their money in there. All right, so you go to the end. I want to show something. There are a number of projects. I can't show them because I'll be kicked out. So go to the very end. I want to show something. Go to the end. There's a poultry project. Go all the way to the very end. There's a credit guarantee program that we're also doing. Okay, here, I wanted to end here. So just to reiterate the thing that I said, right? The projects are there. We'll share the projects with the chamber. They'll share with you and all of that. But no, please go down. So I like this code, right? That the greatest returns in economic transformation go to those who help build the systems that make markets possible, not those who arrive once the markets have matured. And we are at the stage where we are building the systems that will make the Ghanaian market a lot more productive and to thrive. So we are inviting people to help us come in and let's work together. It's not going to build itself. We need to work together and make it work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's do it better. Let's do it better. We are grateful to you, and because we don't want people to lose the momentum and also forget the questions that they have for the 24-hour economy, we want to plead with our partners and our sponsors. We want to plead with our partners and our sponsors, the Republic Bank, to give us some few minutes to do the questions and answers so that we don't forget whatever we want to ask them. On that note, I would like to invite Dr. Ishmael Nidodo to do the questions and answers for us. I welcome him.
Thank you very much indeed. Please, let's appreciate Abdul Nas. We call him Nas. So you call him Nas and you call me Dr. Ish. Or Nidodo. So I know that there are a lot of questions in your mind. And today what we want to do is really try as much as possible to answer most of the questions that is in your mind. And we also want to listen to you with some of your bright ideas about how we make this happen. July 2nd is when we became 1 year old. So everything that we've done, we have presented today, has only been done within 1 year by a very small group of people. And we have received about 10,000 enterprises who have reached out to us to invest or work within the value chain. We would say that of that, close to 1,000 of them are already responded positively to the 24-hour economy in terms of the incentives that will come with accelerated exports, incentives that will come with the market, incentives that will come with the energy. And they have gone ahead to invest. And 85% of them are running 3 shifts with verifiable records of the people they've hired. Government itself, Ghana Ports and Harbors, via GRA, a lot of the Ghana department and agencies are providing 3 services. And there's verifiable records with Ghana Ports and Harbors of making 3 times revenue since they started 3 shifts. So somebody asked, as the 24-hour economy started, yes, we were launched July 2nd, 2025. Has it been moving? Yes. The foundation has been built. We promise you a building, right? Now the building needs foundation, needs blocks, needs structures. So we are doing it. Now, as Nas said, those who help to build has the first opportunity to access the benefits. And this is why we are here, so that we can interact with you to be able to get you to take advantage of this. If we were to build an economy of a GDP running close to $200 billion, which is our ambition, it means that it would be imperative for 70% of that GDP of Ghana to be run by Ghanaians. Otherwise, we'll have principally the three suspects of countries that will be running your GDP for you. So the question for you is, the ambition is 200 billion GDP. How much of your business would occupy a percentage of that? That's the question for you. If we have $3 billion of imports of food, and you are in the agribusiness food processing, how much of that is coming to you? If $3.5 billion of real estate came to Greater Accra region, how much of your company, how much has your company occupied with all the industries, all the real estate buildings that are coming through? So, truly, we are living in a very important moment, and we would like to, and we would like to invite you to answer some of the questions. There are a few questions that you mentioned already, and maybe we could start from that, and we also have colleagues online that want to ask questions. One of the prime questions we get 90% of the time is that, would 24-hour economy be affected by political change? 95% of the time. We've traveled to all the 14 regions of the country, and that's one question they ask. The answer is no. The 24-hour economy will not be affected by any political change. We have become an authority passed by an Act of Parliament, Act 1164, which have been ascended to by the government, by the president. So the 24-hour economy, as a transformation agenda of the country, has come to stay. The authority is synonymous to VRA. When Kwame Nkrumah was deposed, did VRA die? Did VRA die? So, we will not die. Then also, as a country, anyone that has invested private capital, you're never affected by changes in politics. As a country, we have this pride for over 50 years of sustaining private capital investment in a country. So this is the answer. Then, is 24-hour economy about big businesses? Because Nas talked about all the projects. Of course, you need some big projects to drive a transformation change. And even within our big project, we are linking up with small, medium enterprises to be at the back end of the integration chain. So it's a whole value chain. So if you have, say, for example, investment of $200 million of poultry program, the maize growers, the soya, those who do the meat, feed and raise the chicken and so on, all of them are backward integrated. So we have a mixture of smallholders link up with the big businesses. Hence, Nas was explaining, making sure that raw material feed the industry, meet its capacity, and we also provide the offtake market. The other thing, so it's not about that, it's about SME. One of the things they are working to do is cheap capital. You all need cheap capital. Nas explained the collateralization of the credit insurance that we're going to use. And the cheap capital, we are working hard to create what we call the small medium enterprise facility. And this is to provide you with patient capital with 3 to 5 years and some moratorium or even 10 years. And with the interest rate significantly, our ambition is to get something less than 10%. And because we also provide insurance, credit guarantee or credit insurance to insure your loan, there's no need for collateralization of that. So this is one of the foundations that we are building, and that should be on stream in the next couple of months. And that will be a product dedicated through your normal commercial banks, but it will be a bespoke product related to the 24-hour economy investment and value chain. So that will be able to provide you the patient capital. And we are working with the commercial banks to be able to leverage it in different ways. We are working with development finance institutions to be able to leverage it as well, so that we grow the patient capital to be able to drive this initiative. So that's what we are trying to do. Another question somebody asked, what kind of services are qualified? I'm now explained. But one of the things that I think I should encourage you to do, if you look at logistics, aggregation, and the supply chain, this is an area where I believe that we need more Ghanaian companies to invest in, to aggregate raw materials, to transport the raw materials to industry, to take manufactured products to the port, and so on and so forth. So the Volta Lake transport infrastructure, the barges, the pontoons and things, please think about how you can invest in that. The warehousing, the cold chains, and so on. These are very, very important in the ecosystem. So diversify your investment. And then market. For those of us who are traders, you trade whether imported or produced. Why don't you structure your local market to absorb made in Ghana product? Very well qualified, competitive, high quality. And it's made in Ghana goods to be able to route it through your shop. So I want to see, especially some of our markets who have big wholesales and so on, begin to take made in Ghana goods. This is how we begin to grow our own sector and our industries, and we can substitute as much as we can. So with this, I'll open the floor for questions. I was giving some remarks so that Nas can relax a bit, because I'm going to call him back. And we will try, between him and myself, and my team is also here, we will try and answer most of your questions. So, the floor is open. Can we help? Let's start from here, and then we come to you. Please, you can mention just your name and your business, and then we will know the questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My name is Grace. I am the head of marketing for the GNCCI. My first question is that you mentioned that the Bui Power Project has started. And we also heard in your presentation that your tax incentives are intense. It has not been finalized yet. So I want to find out, for those who want to sign on and see their investment, whilst you are here to get all these incentives running, how do you handle that? And then how do our established projects, the companies that are already existing, how do they rule on to this whilst you still work on your legislative instruments and all the others? How do we come on board? Because the chamber members are already running the businesses, so the existing ones, how do they come on board? And I want to finally say that Nas said that Ghanaian businesses don't like taking risk. To even think of doing business and going to register is a big risk. I have worked with the chamber for some time now, and I see what these entrepreneurs go through to ensure that they contribute to the private sector. So even to be in business today is a great risk because of the challenges in getting your business established, and to think of even employing others. It's not easy. So please, I'm sure he didn't mean that, because the risk you are taking is, maybe we have no idea. Thank you.
She's 24 hours. Thank you. Can we take two more, please? Where? Please, here.
Thank you very much. My name is Sophia Kujoji. I work with the private sector, Just One Group.
Okay.
So my question is, when you spoke about sunset for some of the things, the first thing that came to my mind is sustainability. You have talked about authority. How are you going to ensure that these businesses are
All right, thank you. Please, can we fix the mic because people need to hear, especially those online. Please. Yes, you. Yeah, you, please.
I'm Sewa Big Bene from Adansi Travels, the Sales and Product Development Manager. I'm particularly interested in how travel, corporate mobility, meetings, conferences, and business tourism can support Ghana's 24-hour economy. And I also want to know what deliberate role do you see for the travel and tourism sector?
Okay, so we'll take these three. Nas.
Let me add mine so that to be four.
Okay, if you can make it very quick so we...
Yes, I'll make it quick. My name is Samuel Adi.
Yes, please.
Mr. Presenter, I think he made some statements, but along the line, he did correct it. That it is hard, it is difficult to be corrected by any government and other thing. I think if it is hard, there's no way we would have been here. We are all here to contribute collectively to solve the problem. So once we have seen the problem, we must make it an effort for all of us to make sure that we are finding a solution to it. No any negativity is supposed to be entertained whatsoever. Now, talking about the exports, I have been in the port for so long a time. I want to ask whether the authorities, whether 24 hours economy, whatever it is, are actually taking the pain to look at it. Those exports that have gone out, how many of the percentage that are truly Ghanaians, indigenous, how many of them, and how many constitute the foreign aspect? It is very, very important. If you are able to understand the percentage that are actually in export, I think it will help in the policy.
Since you have been in export for many years, can you tell us?
So that one, we'll talk about it after. The notice. It's important. What I'll tell you is that only minority of Ghanaians are actually in the export business. Large of them, they are all foreigners. Okay. Large of them. So the second, yes, so you need to look at that aspect. You see how you can find a solution to it.
Okay.
Now, talking about land, I can see that land is being taken over by real estate companies. And it is very, very worrying matter if you want the 24-hour economy. Like you have said, now you have airline. No governments, whether now or in future, will come and temper it. To make sure that at least there should be a provision of land. There should be, I'm not talking against the real estate people, please. There should be a provision of land that the youth that are coming. For information, the population of Ghana is around 35 million to 36. And it's increasing at an increasing rate.
It will be 50 million by 2050.
That's very good. So yes. If you have the statistics, over to you.
Okay.
I don't want to go very much, so let me just relax.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will take these questions together. Nas, please, can we have the mic? Let's try and respond the questions. We will respond it to us, and we also have some of our team members here who can respond. Can we respond to the questions first, or you want to add? Yes, please. So we don't lose track of the key questions.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
My name is Jacqueline Ruby Sakite. I'm into agro-processing. And my question is, as an SME, like my company and most of us here, what is the structure that's 24-hour can handhold companies like ours to take us through for us to have a successful 24-hour economy? Thank you.
Great. I think maybe NAS can start from there, explaining our enterprise support, and then we take some of the questions. So as NAS takes the question, I'd like to respond directly. Chief, please, we're speaking from here. I'd like to respond directly to your question about how do you get Ghanaians. Our strategy is that significant portion of the 24 economy will be owned by Ghanaians. So our reach out is to even look at wealthy Ghanaians that are not investing just in Ghana but in other countries. And we're getting a room with them to also look at some of our projects and invest the capital in it. The other point is also that in order for the Ghanaians to participate, they need to have not just the entrepreneurial ideas, but the ability to access the capital that will enable them to do that. And this is why we are looking at SME facility. And that SME facility will be to empower Ghanaians, particularly women, to be able to invest in the 24-hour economy value chain. So that is the vision that we are gradually doing. The other thing is also to protect your product and let Ghanaians actually appreciate the product. So our procurement law that we are working on would make sure that quite significant, some are proposing 60% of the procurement, we would say that the local content of the biggest client of procurement, which is government, is to purchase your product. So school feeding products, school feeding programs will eat made in Ghana goods. This is very significant. And these are some of the things that we are doing. Thank you. But this is not to say that foreign direct investment is not important. What we do is that we structure a relationship between any foreign investor and matchmake it with a Ghanaian-based company so that the two of them will be able to move in that direction. So every anchor we are talking to, who is a foreign direct investor, knows that there is a significant partnership, which is why we have constructed the programs, the projects around special purpose vehicles. So the SPVs allow Ghanaians to actually participate in investment. All right, so these are some of the strategies we put in place. Nas?
Okay, so I'll take it, I think from Grace. So the project's actually at Bupe, the solar project. And you're asking how do chamber members get on board? Is it possible to get a presentation up again? Because some of the answers are on there, if you can put it up. Okay, so go down, I'll show you. So we have, go, please. Just
keep clicking, please.
Just keep clicking. Keep clicking. When you get there, I'll tell you to stop. Yep. Please stop here. Okay, so how do members get on board? And also, someone talked about how we handhold companies. I think Jacqueline, that's why, how we handhold companies. So I'll explain it with this and then another slide. So, like I said, when we are providing an enterprise support program, that would be able to help every company be supported to overcome the things that are preventing them from growing. Right? And this is the enterprise support program. We've actually built a software behind that's actually doing a lot of the work. But first, the main thing would be those who are in our projects and are very big and all of that, they receive those fiscal incentives and they are here and they are getting their support. Then you have the track B and track C who go into what we call the Enterprise Readiness Program. The Enterprise Readiness Program, we are working with a number of ESOs, Enterprise Support Programs, to do this. So basically, you'll be assigned to an ESO. That would help you do a diagnostic to understand what are the gaps that we identified and how do you fill it. And then work with you on a program to essentially help you to fill that gap. One of the things that we're doing with that ESO program is we've been engaging the Bank of Ghana for them to recognize the recommendations from the ESOs as part of their risk mitigation measures, so that when the banks are assessing you, they can rely on the recommendations and the reports from the ESOs as part of the things that they use in basically assessing your bankability. So that's, and the idea there is you help businesses a lot more holistically, so that they are profitable, they are sustainable. You talked about sustainability, they are sustainable within the long term. And how do businesses, what are the different ways as an investor you can get in? You can get in through this route and be able to basically get the support that you want and all of that. For those who are aligned to some of the projects, you can also come in and take land within the parks that we are putting up. Now, someone talked about land. And, a lot of times when we talk about land, we are only talking about Accra, but Ghana is much, much bigger than that. You know, when we looked at around the Volta Economic Corridor, we actually identified about 8 million hectares of land that is arable and that we could use. Right, so there's a lot of land around the country. The problem has been the infrastructure. It is why we are creating that transportation on the Volta Lake to ensure that you don't need to build highways in order to be able to transport your things from there. And we've also put in place something we call the participatory land access model. That does a number of things. One, it makes land available to investors. And the land, for instance, that we are using for the Bupe Solar was, it was acquired through the participatory land access model. The thing with the participatory land access model is it also makes the communities a part of the project. Because the communities or the land, the interest holders in the land come together to form community land trusts, and then they take an equity stake in the business. A small minority equity stake, but they take an equity stake, so that they are also interested in ensuring that the projects are profitable. So there's a solution for land. You know, so for those who want land, you'll be able to get access to. I mean, today, we're actually engaging communities on more than 600 hectares of land. And we've done FPIC on about 140,000 hectares of that land. So there's a solution for that. There was the question about how do we protect local businesses and all of that, and how do we support local businesses. So, for instance, I mean, Ish talked about the local content stuff that we are through. A very concrete proposal that we're making is we are working on proposals for the PPA law. That ensures that government uses its procurement strength to also support Ghanaian businesses. So we've, for instance, proposed a margin of preference of about 30% for Ghanaian goods, so that if you produce the things in Ghana and you are 30% more expensive than the closest from somewhere else, you actually will be the preferred choice, right? So that's something that we propose, for instance, for them to do, and also to assign, 50% of government purchases to Ghanaian, produce. So these are all things that we are doing to ensure that we create the markets for Ghanaian produce. But I think the most important thing for us is to create the long-term sustainable markets. It's the reason why for every project, we are looking at the production, the offtake, and the policy. In the poultry space, for instance, we are working on a poultry project. So there are a number of anchors that we've actually engaged in the poultry space. And the big issue with poultry is that the poultry produced in Ghana oftentimes is not competitive. So the guys who bring it in will tell you that they control the market. They'll tell you that they are not able to get poultry locally to be that competitive. We figured out some of the things that make it uncompetitive. A big part of it is feed. We're trying to get rid of it. But importantly, we are engaging the importers and getting the importers to sign offtake agreements with the local producers so that they offtake from them. So don't circumvent the importers, but get the importers to be part of the program, to become the off-takers at prices that are competitive, not prices that have been subsidized, so that it becomes sustainable over the long term. So there's a lot that is going on over there. There is, someone talked about the meetings and tourism. And that's actually a very good point. Very early on, we engaged, AFTA, for instance, right? AFTA's head offices in Ghana. They spend huge amounts of money holding conferences every year. But they can't hold their conferences in Ghana. Why? Because we don't have a facility to host a conference of that scale. Okay. And we need to develop some of these things. Right? And we've put across proposals to actually try to get some consortium together to build it. Some of those I can't really speak about here because they can be sensitive. But these are some of the things that we are doing to try to ensure that we're getting the venues in Ghana that can host this international conference. Otherwise, you have AFTA here. Every year, they are sending money out to go and host conferences. Why? Because you don't have facilities. And part of the program is the 24-hour economy program is what we call the Show 24. So we have 8 sub-programs. Show 24 is one of them. And the thinking around Show 24 and the programs that we are developing around 24